There we are. Welcome everybody to Ambassador Town Hall number 44. It's the 18th of April, 2023. And we're joined by quite a big group today. Let me find the list actually. There we are. Today we are joined by Roger Caboti, August Reds, Bart, Kelly from Orlan.
By the way, are you going to record?
What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna call out the names.
No. Are you going to record, I said?
Yes, for sure.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
I am already, so I'll continue. We're also joined by Felix, Fly Fools, Head Elf, Ian, Judith, Little Butts, Mark, Mikasa, Newman, Raphael, Stephen, Sugar and Spice, Tefo, and the Fries DeFi. Welcome everybody. Cool to see some new faces. And also cool to see some old faces. Speaking of old faces, sorry. Also welcome Jan. Nice timing there.
Thanks a lot.
Found it way too funny. Thanks for joining in.
Okay, I know exactly what you mean.
Apologies for that. That's I was welcoming both the new faces and the old faces. So yeah, welcome. Oh, silly. Great start. So yeah, taking a little look at the structure of today's meeting. So update on the work groups, a mention of some tasks. A small call out to some events, and then there's some room for every topic. Yeah, quick reminder at the beginning, especially for those new to the meeting or those watching on YouTube for the first time. So the Ambassador Program, what do we do? And who are we? It's basically anybody who's interested in the SingularityNet ecosystem and wants to contribute to its growth. And yeah, the Ambassador Program aims to provide structure and guidance on how to do that. There's a lot of self-organizing work groups which you can join. Right now you're on Discord. You can find in the Ambassador section, you can find the work group channels. And they focus on all type of different activities. And yeah, it's a nice opportunity to meet some cool people and to learn both about the project and learn some skills. And then starting off as per usual with a little overview from the work groups and what has happened over the past week. Starting off with the Process Guild, where weekly meetings take place on Tuesdays, 19 UTC, right after the town hall. And seeing we're being joined by Tefo, perhaps I can ask you to give a little recap on what we did last week.
Sure. Last week I dropped also a video on the channel, the chat channel. We mainly only looked at the D-work and like D-work management, because most of our activities are recorded there, and how to use it, how to make spaces, what are like issues and some standard rules we have set up to make it more operationally effective between different groups to work together. So that the process guild session was used to go over these kinds of activities and insights coming from D-work. Yeah, the session is also uploaded to the YouTube fully, so that can be overlooked from there. Today in Process Guild we will change our pace again, come back to the big part of all the tasks we are preparing which are not yet reached to the D-work, and look at how does the tasks look on dashboards, or basically the analysis of what we have collected so far through D-work.
Awesome, thanks a lot. Yeah, so for those interested, stick around after this meeting. Zoom links will be posted, you won't be able to miss. And we're hitting max participants when I have camera on. Yeah, I guess we might as well just turn cameras off just to prevent others from not joining. And
see
Jan, if you wouldn't mind.
Treasury Group is next, so I might as well share this. Last week on Treasury Guild, we were focusing, so because we do it bi-weekly, like one is working on contributions, and then an alternative week is we look at more of like treasury governance. So this week it's going to be treasury governance, but last week, instead of creating distributions, we actually started like this onboarding process to how do we set up the treasury management Excel in the first place. And that YouTube is not yet uploaded, but I will work on this this week, and so that you can also see it. If you didn't join, you can look it up from YouTube. Same place, the ambassadors YouTube. And yeah, there was also a new feature introduced, and so that all the ambassadors will not start to get rewards from when they do any task or contribution somewhere else except Gimbals. And this week in Treasury Guild, there is a lot of topics to discuss, so there will be a bit of based on those who join to the meeting, we will do a quick analysis which direction they want to go. There are stake pool operation still to look into, some privacy concerns to still tackle, and a lot of keyword management updates and operation questions.
Thank you. I think you called out the slot as well, but just to repeat it, if you did, it's on Thursdays 15:30 UTC. And yeah, for that, the recurring Zoom link is also shared here on Discord right before. Cool. That brings us to the Marketing Guild. Let's see with who to start there. I think, well, as you wish, can either start with Grandano or with the video work group.
Yeah, give an update on Marketing Guild. We met this last Friday, April 18th. Was that April 18th? Today's the 18th. That was the 14th, April 14th. Our main discussion was around rewarding graphic design work. We discussed hourly rate of rewards and settled, at least experimentally, on doing it from a price per task basis. The thinking behind price per task is that it removes uncertainties and manages expectations as people work towards completing said tasks. If people don't want to do the task, then they won't bid for it. If nobody bids, then the reward should be raised. So we will experiment with that for now and see how that goes. We also talked about how a work group based around graphic design would be a great way to move forward, as it would get a group of people used to the tools of the trade to brainstorm in the same way writers in video are going about it. Marketing Guild meets again this Friday at 13 UTC, and everyone is welcome to come hang out, bring your ideas, and provide feedback. Then we could jump over to, let's see, Rojo's here for video work group. He wasn't able to make it last week, but we had a chat with CryptoFly, who made it to the meeting. They just had their recent stablecoin video posted today, and she provides a really great introduction to Cogito within the video. And then Rojo, if you have any updates on moving forward in the video work group.
Yeah, so in terms of moving forward, well, we do have that Cogito video vote for the reward for that this week. So if you're part of the work group, please join and make sure to watch the video. That would be great. I would also like to remind the people who are part of the work group, especially interns, to please submit their proposals for videos to become official members. Some of the things you can do is create clips out of CryptoFly's videos. That is obviously rewarded less than like a video made from scratch, but still rewarded and still counts as something that would get you to the official member status. So please join, and we will start uploading very soon. Perhaps after this week, we'll start uploading some stuff in the official channel and on TikTok, Instagram, and all these things, especially clips. So less than 1 minute videos, basically. Yeah, that's about it.
Thanks a lot. Cool stuff happening, and yeah, indeed, the video about CryptoFly is posted in chat, so do check that out if you haven't already. Kenichi, I see you joined. Can you perhaps give a little update on the writers' work group? If you are here. Kenichi, are you here? And if not, perhaps somebody else who attended?
Yeah, how you doing, Peter? Kenichi, I'll just jump in here for you. I was at the writers' work group last week. Again, another decent meeting as we get everything together. I believe Kenichi had put out some tasks for Mikasa and Slate, who are the two scribblers that I know about, to do a couple of write-ups on some topics we had talked about. We discussed following up the SingularityNet meeting coming up, and on the tail end of that, talking about what happened at the summit. And I think this week we're going to be talking about those topics and how we can sort of spread awareness about the summit and what came out of it.
Awesome. Good stuff. I think actually this reminds me, the summit reminds me of, it overlaps with this week's meeting of the work group. So perhaps, and I think the same is actually true for the video work group as well, on 14 and 15 UTC. So on the summit starts at 14:30 UTC. So perhaps that's something we could, yeah, perhaps for 1 week pull a little earlier, I guess. But it's something for the work group to decide. But
yeah, we can make it work on Friday, squeeze things in. I don't think it's been so active this week. Yeah, it sounds great.
That's okay from me as well. Fine. We can do it maybe an hour or 2 hours even earlier. That's fine.
If we have marketing at 13 UTC and there's the summit at 14:30, then I propose that we split the hour and a half available into 3 sections. One for General Marketing Guild, second for video, and third writers, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds great. Chop it into 30-minute segments.
cool. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, let's do it like that. Unless there's in the coming days some very important reasons not to do so, but it should be fine. Cool.
Can I ask something? Who has access to the Zoom for creating meetings?
Well, good question. Right now we went with an account from marketing side within SingularityNet. So this is not really intended as to be used publicly account, but we could still get one on the ambassador program side for just ourselves. Additionally, there have been offers from Swarm side. I see Tavo typing, so let's see what. Yeah, well, yeah. Right now, the Zoom account, which we're not even properly using for this meeting, we might start using it next week. That's not really to be shared. So right now, I don't have a proper answer to that. Yes, as Steve puts in chat, best would be to buy a license for the ambassador email, and then everybody can use it. That makes a lot of sense. As Stephen asks, I don't really know what the cost is for a simple account.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I kind of agree that there'll just be a cost implication, that's all.
I think we can afford 14 USD per month. Yeah, that should be fine.
Do we have to have like one for each for each ambassador, or is it possible to have just one for the ambassador program, and then like we set up multiple meetings in there?
I would say the latter.
Yep.
Yeah, one for all is fine. As Felix mentions, multiple meetings on the one. Yeah, okay. Okay, so if there's any big objections to arranging that, please speak now. Then I think we can establish that that's a good plan to do. All right. Cool. That covers the work groups. It doesn't quite. It's not like we've been working on the incubation and strategy guild for months. So that's the next one. Starting with incubation. Grandano, could you give us a little update there, or perhaps Fly Your Fools, whichever you prefer?
Yeah. So last incubation work group, we worked with setting the rewards for marketing the backtrack rewards.
That's why I was thinking there's so much that happened last week. I'm like, what did we talk about
Yeah.
incubation last week? Incubation's been real busy the past month. Like, I need to pull up my slides and rehash my memory.
Totally. Yeah. So we looked at this reimbursing of previous work. Continuing in the discussions of strategy about allocating budgets, trying to recoup budgets from trying to allocate rewards for the work that's done in these last few months in order to lay the foundation for kind of going forward. Yeah. Feel free to go through this document. It's quite technical with numbers and things that won't necessarily go through now, but we worked on this marketing budget, which was drawn up from looking at the rewards that have been distributed for Marketing Guild since its inception in November, and looking at the rewards for Grandano and Fly to what allocation of Marketing Guild budget from the past few months should be allocated, and where should this other money go. So it was decided to give Grandano and Fly 1 second. Number. 18,750 AGIX from November to March. The reasons for the proposal, looking at the perspective of what we will reward ambassadors, proposing 43% of the budget allocation to a single ambassador. And the basic idea with working from this marketing budget is to create a framework on which to the other ambassadors and other contributors in the ecosystem can use as a basis for kind of retroactively getting some rewards for the work that they've been contributing to. So we started on this marketing with Grandano Fly, and then used this framework for Felix and TiVo to look at their work with the ambassador program for the last 11 months. So we agreed to use the same allocation per month of 1,875 AJAX, and I'm putting that for 11 months for both TiVo and Felix. Yes. So this is a good basis now upon which to kind of look forward, to look at the work groups currently active, and now we have an established ambassador role and rewards for that. Now we're going to look into building out this into these sub roles as work group leads. So this week in the incubation, we'll be going through kind of really defining these work group leads, what that role is, kind of sharing the best practices that have been done so far to kind of create an aggregate methodology that we can put forward for people who want to start work groups in the future, and to develop them perhaps into guilds. So this coming week in incubation will be like sharing some experience, or like what Crown and Fly have experienced these past few months with Marketing Guild, and asking for kind of open sourcing knowledge from other members of the community for how we do this, looking at rewards for work group leads and hours allocations. Yeah, and that's about it. Yeah, we'll also go over kind of what ifs scenarios, and kind of define exactly what this work group lead role is. And then after the incubation this week, we will throw it over to strategy to explore from the higher level. And I welcome Head Elf to have a chat about that. Yeah, nice. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks a lot for that. Head Elf, are you around?
Always around. It was a good week last week. It was the first time we had incubation and strategy on Zoom, so we had a recording, which I believe Grandano was taking care of because I'm technologically inept, and I believe hopefully it should be up in YouTube World sometime or another. We followed up with the strategy, and we followed up and cleaned up on all the D-Work stuff, and that was a bit of a follow-up from Process Guild from the week before. We reviewed the budget that we had set up and made, I think, one miscellaneous change to it. Tooling went from its 2% to under the miscellaneous budget. So at this point, all guilds are at 3%, translators and social media. Content is at 13% of budget, community support 5%, organizers 5%, ambassadors are at 48%, but with no double dipping from the other roles that the ambassadors may partake in. Miscellaneous has 10%, and transaction fees for payouts from the Treasury Guild 1%. I believe we, at least with the ambassadors, if not the entire budget, we're going to review on a quarterly basis. So this percentage of budget, if it doesn't get changed sooner, will be reviewed at the end of Q2. We went over a little bit of the Git book, both with the onboarding of the Git book and transparency that Stephen from QDAO had suggested a project, and he's kind of heading the Git book and the Git book repository. So we have a recording and transparency for everything. I don't want to say everything, but almost everything that goes on in the SNet Ambassador Guilds. And then the big topic came up, and that'll be probably taking up all of tomorrow's strategy guild, and that's a document by Felix on the governance framework, which hopefully everybody has had a chance to review and input on. Yeah, and Stephen, we will get you in there. I'm just reading the side notes there. So we're going to be talking because of the Friday summit. We wanted to try to get as much of the governance framework squared away and ready for broader community input on. I think my personal opinion is this document that Felix has crafted is probably the most important document currently for the SingularityNet Ambassador Program. Stephen's Gitbook project, so we have recordings, history, and transparency, I think will be the second most important document for SNet. So that'll be a big part of the agenda tomorrow. We also last week, not in Strategy Guild, but we had a broadcast subgroup meeting, and I, as trying to revive the podcast, am looking to start a working group for the podcast, and we're going to need researchers and writers, and if anybody knows Apple's Logic Pro, some editors on that, though I can do that. Also out of Strategy Guild, and with I don't want to tie it directly to the governance framework by Felix, but as we work on consensus or consent, as Stephen will elucidate us on later, I started exploring the Summon DAO platform. I've spent a lot of time in the, I guess it's the beta version. I attended an onboarding group last night with another project I'm involved with, and I have scheduled with TCT and the Summon platform people Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Discord on the Summon Discord channel. We will have an onboarding for our community if anybody would like to attend it. And from what I saw in the onboarding last night, it doesn't at this time do anything to help us through our DWork challenges, I'll say, but it does help develop small communities because we can have sub-communities under the main community. Each one can have voting by individual tokens, as Felix's document talks about. So there's some very, very positive things that I believe the Summon platform, and especially if we start transiting towards a DAO, as has been bandied, I think there's a lot of things that the Summon platform can help us with. But that's why the onboarding is not it's not like we're committing to it. It's all in the beta. But Wednesday, 8 p.m., if you want to DM me, or tomorrow in the strategy group, I will provide the link. And that's about all, but I can't help but noticing the number of people in this room. and I cannot help but noticing the traffic in the Discord channel. And I think everything that we've been doing in the past is starting to come together. We're having control now over the budget. We have somewhat structured work groups and paths. We still need to get this onboarding process squared away and put out to the Gitbook repository. And Stephen, if you could do me a favor, just talk about it a little bit and how it will help the ambassador guilds and also with onboarding if we get everything done right. Thank you for listening to me.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I've just posted a link to, we just set up a GitHub organization for the SingularityNet archive. Anyone with GitHub experience, if they wish to post their GitHub username, for the first instance in maybe marketing Discord until more organized. This will create a repository for anyone who does any development work, any documentation. All the Git books will be mirrored back there for an archive, an audit track. On the Gitbook side, there is some technical difficulties because I think I'm trying to get access to a couple of them in order to change the configurations back up to the GitHub organization. But I think we need a paid account. I'm not sure if we've got a paid account. So that's something more of a, needs to be just sorted out. But basically the idea is to use the Git books in a more consistent way. They're more meant to be like a website. They're not really, they're more meant to sort of capture existing information as a final product rather than as collaborative tools. So the collaboration goes on in our Google Documents and our collaborative tools, and once they are finalized, then we can capture that in an archive, the Gitbook. Gitbook is also, just very briefly, I'm also running an AI on it, a language model, which will help summarize it. So that's another reason to do it, so that we can build up a history which is accessible through an AI. I hope that's all, Tom.
Thank you, Stephen. Peter, back to you, and I can't wait to hear from Jan.
Well, you're in luck because I think that's where we go next. Also, note I do note the Fries DeFi mentioning in chat also wants to bring something up if there's time. We should be fine. But first, I've invited Jan to join and to introduce us a little bit about the upcoming summit this Friday, the Decentralized Governance Summit. And also accompanying that, there's an initiation document on, basically outlining the vision of how to further decentralize SingularityNet. So Jan, if you're around, the stage would be yours.
Wow, yeah. What a great crew here, by the way. It's good to, I can't see you all. By the way, I noticed you mentioning we should do our cameras off. What was the reason for that?
Yeah, if somebody has their camera on, the event is limited to 25 participants. And right now we're 26. So, just like when you get to 25, it's like, okay, because it automatically blocks people from joining. That's
okay. Yeah, I'm a huge proponent for cameras on, because I think also body language counts as communication. We all know that's very important. But I'll do my best off camera. So I'm not sure. So we already published the initiation document. Are there any people here who already saw it or even read it? Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, great. So any first reactions from anybody? Well, let me just talk you roughly through it. We don't have that much time. I can easily spend an hour on it. I didn't prepare anything, so this is just a little bit offhand. What we are aiming to do. So we have a decentralization summit, and the summit is, while useful in itself, it's also a trigger and a kickoff for a much larger process around decentralization. So we take decentralization very serious. We always have done that. But where in the past we tried and we expected this would be something we would organize horizontally over the whole of the organization, we now feel that it is better to start with a smaller compartment, but with more focus and really experiment and learn and test. And when we have shown proven results and methods and processes, then we are ready to expand that part, and then we can do it again. And if we are matured sufficient, then we can expand further until at some point we will be decentralized over the whole of SingularityNet Foundation. And in the end, everything related to the foundation will be governed by decentralized processes, by you and other community members. So that is the big picture goal there. The steps that we are aiming to do is, first we want to found something which we call now SingComDAO. You can have comments on that name if you like, but it's not about the name, it's about the content. So as you may know, as you may be aware, me in deep funding, but also Peter in the ambassador program. But we're already experimenting a lot with a lot of governance related processes and voting related processes. And so we have town halls, we have voting, we have quadratic voting, we have reputation. We could at some point have liquid democracy and all these things. So it makes sense to start SingComDAO with a couple of entities in our organization, being deep funding, being the ambassador program as well, being the supervisory council, and put all of those together and put that in a decentralized wrapper, so to speak. And we have some ideas on how we want to evolve that, but we don't want to do that completely centralized. So that's a little bit of a catch-22. We need to be decentralized in order to do this and to go into this process in a non-decentralized way, which is chicken or an egg situation. So the way that we fix that, approach that, is we will first start with something that for now we call seed SingComDAO. So that is a temporary structure, you could say, that has the goal, the sole goal to create the governance processes and rules that are needed to start the SingComDAO for real. And in this body, this body will be represented by Peter as part of the ambassador program, by me as part of the deep funding program, and also by the supervisory council. Now, there's another story about supervisory council, and let's park that and come back to that later. And the goal of this organization will be to set the main rules and boundaries and conditions that we think the real, true, mature SingComDAO should adhere to. Now, of course, this is an ongoing process. So when we have SingComDAO and we are governed properly by the community, then that doesn't end there. We will always improve and we will always be able to change things. We should also stay flexible. And that also means that leading up to SingComDAO, so the seed SingComDAO doesn't need to completely detail all the things related to Singularity SingComDAO, but it should take it to a level that we are confident to start SingComDAO for real. So this could involve treasury management. This could involve legal wrappers. So what is the legal entity and where is it founded, for instance? But it could also, or it will also involve leadership, governance, and community relationships. So how do all the stakeholders in this DAO connect to each other, and how do we work together, and how will we make decisions? So those are a number of important questions. There's a whole list. It's much more detailed, of course, in the document. But that is the basic thing we're aiming for. And most importantly, we want to do it with you, with the community. So this is not something that we will do in some ivory tower. We aim after the summit. So the summit is a kickoff, but after the summit to organize a number, any number, I don't know how many, but a number of sessions, meetings, maybe even votes, I don't know, in order to discuss all these topics that are important to us and to define together how we want to organize SingComDAO going forward. Now, the first step of this process will be to elect a renewed supervisory council. To be honest, re-electing the supervisory council has been due for a while. We thought about it in the fall, actually, last year. The reason that we didn't do it because of this, basically. If we elect a new supervisory council, the people that are being elected, whether it's the same or whether it's new people, they would need to have a clear understanding what the expectations of us are to them. And in order to know what the expectations are, you have to know what comes after it. Now, that's another catch-22, of course, but the way we approach that right now is we will elect a supervisory council, a new supervisory council, and with that new supervisory council elected by you, we will step by step get organized in this new SingComDAO. Meaning that you have indirect influence by selecting the SingComDAO, but you will also have direct influence by participating in all the sessions that we will have. And finally, that will lead to the creation of a white paper for SingComDAO. And that white paper is something that we will at least have a proper vote on. So this is what we believe the SingComDAO will be, and this is what the scope and the limitations of their authority are. And after that whole process, you will be able to vote on that. And then one more word on the election process of the supervisory council. The way we see that right now is that in the initiation document, you already see from the perspective of SingComDAO, if you want, what we think is necessary, what we think is needed, and what they will be doing. But we will also ask the management of the foundation, and we will also ask the current supervisory council members what their experiences are and their advice is. And last but not least, we will also ask you, the community, what do you expect from a new supervisory council? And we will collect all that input, and with that input we will create a kind of program of requirements for the new supervisory council. So what are their tasks? Maybe we'll have an idea of how much time is required. Maybe we'll have an idea about the rewards. We'll have to detail all of that. And then based on that set of requirements, people, anyone, would be able to submit their candidacy and tell the community whether they align with these requirements or whether they differ with these requirements in some parts and why. And then based on all that information, the community can make their choice for, like I say, a renewed supervisory council, which could be with the same members being continued, or which could be a completely new crew, or it could be a mix of old and new. But that is all up to you, I would say. So I think that's the big perspectives. And in terms of timelines, I hope we can. So after the summit, we will immediately start with the election, the process towards election of a new supervisory council. I don't know exactly how much time that would take. Let's say 6 weeks, maybe 8. I don't know. After that, I expect we will need a couple of months, 2-3 months, probably easily, to have all these sessions and discussions and to write a proper white paper. So this initiation document that we published, originally we called it white paper 0.1, but I don't think it yet is that. So we need to make a new version of that, and we'll do that together. And then, you have the chance to cast your vote once more on a very important milestone of in the future and history of SingularityNet. It's almost 9 o'clock, I see, so I already talked for about 30 minutes.
Well, thanks a lot for that. It's a proper, thorough overview, I feel.
Have I forgotten anything? Is there anything we should emphasize or de-emphasize?
No, I think you covered most. In a pretty balanced way, honestly. But let's have a quick check in the room. Are there any questions?
Not a question, just a suggestion. It would actually be great if we could get an ambassador there. I wrote it in the chat. So as this is as there should be a vote, perhaps we can agree on a person and then vote for that person and that.
Wonderful. Yeah. Actually, I
rigging the system. Go ahead, Jan.
No. Let me not influence the vote here. But I think I would like that, to have somebody of the active community and also somebody who's really in touch with the community and somebody who is, as ambassadors are supposed to be, very hands-on. I think those are all interesting characteristics. Also think, by the way, that it would be good for the supervisory council to be diverse in multiple ways. So we don't need just one profile, but I wouldn't be against it. And I will be working with that supervisory council. I intend to work with that and very closely. So I expect, I need good partners there. So looking forward to who you will put forward your turn.
Yeah, it's amazing stuff. I think, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I would say it's a whole new step in where we are, and it's quite a big step because I think we will really try to push this decentralization and push governance. And I think the best example is how we are working with deep funding right now. We experiment a lot sometimes we still do things centralized and we just put it forward. But we're always transparent in explaining what we did and how we did it and why we did it, and open for changes after that. And well, actually, during the summit, I will have 1 or 2 talks, and you'll see my face around there. And I will also be showing with a little bit of helicopter view what we did with deep funding, and also where we are and how I see that going forward. Because when I say we do some things a little bit decentralized, that is just sometimes necessary at the start, but it's definitely not where we want to stop. I hope we will be able to make our processes so robust and clear and mature that we can be more and more bottom up, have bottom up governance. And although maybe it will always be a mix in some way, but at least be fully decentralized with not necessarily anybody of the foundation deeply involved anymore, or not differently than other community members.
Well, Jan, your presentation was awesome. Your explanation of everything is fantastic. The move towards decentralization is stimulating, and I look forward to this part of the journey. And I did a bit of a blog today, and it was a little bit about Peter, because he's had such a light hand on this ambassador program that it is allowing us to kind of find our way towards decentralization in small units. So you guys are great teammates, and thank you for the whole community for this.
Well, Peter is definitely a good, a very good teammate, I must say. And also a number of you that I worked with, including you, Hedolf, I have very dear. So yeah, I really value this community participation. And sometimes you guys and girls surprise me about what is happening and how well it is being done. And those are the best moments. So I hope we'll have a lot of those. By the way, I also would like to point out here that all this stuff is not my idea necessarily, or Peter's idea. A lot of this comes also from, is really motivated and pushed by Ben Goertzel. So he has been genuinely motivated for decentralization from the start, and I think where we are today, it's even getting more important quickly, and quicker than we may have anticipated like 1 or 2 years ago. So there's also some sense of urgency in sure we are decentralized and that we are not easily caught or packaged or manipulated because we are decentralized.
Great stuff. What a wholesome ending. I mean, looking at the time, I think we should get wrapping up. Yeah, great stuff. It's just gives a warm, fuzzy feeling for me personally inside to be in a group like this, but also it's really like the start of it will be a multi-year process. We're moving. So that's great. Earlier, I think I will wrap up the topic for now. So thanks again, Jan, for your time and thorough explanation. There was a request by the Fries D5 to bring something to the table. If that could be like a short thing, I think we can squish it in.
Yeah, I'll try and be quick here. I think it's kind of a big topic, but I'll try and be short. And it comes off it's relevant to what Jan was just discussing. Great topic, by the way. I appreciated your presentation. but also coming out of the broadcasting meetings and as we're putting together podcasts, I'm looking. I almost think we're missing a guild, and I think it should be an educational guild, because as we're putting together stuff to broadcast and talk about in podcasts, I mean, there's so many topics across SingularityNet with the different projects in the ecosystem. It's one of the bigger rabbit holes I've found. I mean, as soon as I think I'm understanding a subject, I open another door and there's just an abyss below me filled with information. And on the same note, I mean, I talk to people about SingularityNet, what I'm doing here, and most people don't understand it. The people who do understand it, they say, oh, I know what artificial intelligence is, but then you say AGI and they don't get it. And there's such I think, a need for education that it's a subject we're going to have to deal with, and probably sooner rather than later. I think maybe to start off with, even getting someone in for a weekly educational meeting for the ambassadors would be helpful, just to keep educating ourselves about the ecosystem to increase our own personal knowledge. But as far as an educational guild goes, I mean, I think there really isn't a limit. And I think at some point we should consider developing a portal to sort of create a hub and spoke system where there's a central hub where people can come into to start learning about SingularityNet and then follow different spokes to the different projects. As deep funding progresses, there's going to be even more projects coming out. Now, I know Cardano had issues with a lot of failures within Catalyst, projects that just didn't make it. And I'm wondering if through education, we can help educate people about the projects that get funded, give them a little bit more of a spotlight to try and help foster success within the ecosystem, teach ourselves, and really start pounding the pavement, educating everybody about AGI and SingularityNet.
Amen. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, totally. And I think that we can also not remake the wheel in this sense. There's already so much knowledge, and perhaps like in these coming weeks, with like more ties to the foundation and the wider ecosystem becoming more apparent, I hope that we can really like get these communication systems going, so that we can not necessarily reinvent the wheel. But yeah, I totally agree, man. And I think I just mentioned in the chat this AI sandbox, which you're all welcome to come to next week, not this week, on Thursday. And that's like grassroots onboarding onto AI tools. But I totally get you with this education that there's a kind of way to interact with Web3 and decentralized communities and networks, which is just completely different from how we've been taught. How we've been conditioned.
Fly, can you add it to the Google Calendar? Is that possible?
Yeah, it'll be on there.
Thank you.
Cool. I think in respect of time of everybody, but also of the Process Guild, who we chronically are delaying the start of that meeting. Let's wrap it up for now. I do want to put one tiny reminder for coming Thursday's Deep Funding Town Hall. This can also be found in the shared calendar. And yes, sure. As Judith points out in chat, tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Not sure what that translates to UTC. Let me quickly check. I believe it should be 14:30 UTC. David Orban of Beyond Enterprise hosts a session together with Ben Goertzel, so that's also quite cool. It'll be on the Beyond Enterprise YouTube channel. We'll tweet about it as well. And there's a link right now in chat. Amazing. So yeah, tons of cool events coming up. And the very first one of that is the Process Guild. So the Zoom link is in chat. And thanks everybody here for joining today. And hope to see you in one of the many next events. Thanks all.